Welcome to ATN Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to prefer solutions that will benefit humanity. Today we have some very interesting topics. Akwa Ibom State, police nab couple for allegedly selling daughter for 450,000 naira. In Lagos State, drunk driver dies in fatal crash, 3 injured. In Adamawa State, family seeks justice as woman scouts pregnant sister-in-law. Aviation, Max Air reports 3 accidents in 6 months. We are open for advert placements, news and events coverage, personality, society and political interviews, product, service, promotion and commercials. You can connect with us on all our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on Twitter, Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll continue with the rest of the stories. Thank you for staying with us. Today in the studio we have a very special guest. His name is Mr. for allegedly luring a 6-year-old girl and taking her to an unknown destination. The suspects, identified as Christiana Uwem Ibanga and her boyfriend Iyene Etuk Akman, were apprehended in Abuja following an intelligence-led operation. The arrest came after a report was filed on June 15, 2024 by a woman from Afbaha Atai in Ibesiku, a Sultan local government area, who alleged that her daughter had been taken by Ibanga, a resident of Ekamba Nsukara in Uyo. During interrogation, the suspects confessed to selling their own child in May 2024 for 450,000 naira with the help of one savior, Anyedi. They further admitted to conspiring with Anyedi and his wife to traffic the 6-year-old girl, who was later sold in Aba, Abia State, to an unidentified buyer. Police operatives have since extended their search to Aba in an effort to locate the missing child and apprehend the buyer. Authorities assured the public that significant progress has been made and that the perpetrators will soon be brought to justice. The Akwa Ibom State Police Command urged residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious activities to help combat child trafficking in the state. Okay, sir, Mr. Denwi Daniel, on this story, we have a story where child trafficking, basically, and I think it's something that we've had over time in our space, in our country, Nigeria. What are your thoughts on child trafficking? Why do you think people engage in such acts?
The aim of child trafficking is basically to get money, right? Yes, to get money. So, and then looking at the amount, 450,000, it's not even worth it to sell a 6-year-old child. Now, looking at the story, we can see that the couples, right, are from Akwa Ibom State, right? And then this child was sold in Aba. and then now apprehended in Abuja. So we can see how far they went for just 450,000 naira. Because looking at the situation right now in the country, right, 450,000 naira would not even go a long way for selling a child with so much potentials, and then you're selling a child for 450,000. So personally, what I think about child trafficking is those involved in that act should be apprehended by the police, you understand? So it's to serve as a lesson to others who have the intentions of going into child trafficking.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So on this issue of child trafficking, this child was sold for 450,000 naira, which, like you said, is not even enough to, or will not be enough to carry whoever it is that was involved in that act. Is it that the government is not doing enough when it comes to making provisions for citizens? Because, I mean, anyone who would dive into such an act obviously does not have the required resources to maintain or sustain himself as an individual. So can we say that the government has a role to play in all of these issues that we face in our country?
Definitely, yes. I totally agree with you that the government has a role to play when it comes to handling child trafficking. Do you understand? So basically I would say that the government needs to provide more resources. Now when I talk about resources, I'm talking about provision of employment, because even for those who are employed, let me use the teachers for example now. The teachers are being paid let's say 25,000 to 30,000 thereabout, depending on the school, the level of qualification. Yes, level of qualification. And then looking at 35,000 and 40,000 naira in this present economy where fuel is 1,000 plus, and then if you go to the market, you understand that tomatoes is something else, pepper is something else, and a whole lot of other commodities are something else. So 35,000 to 40,000, as the case may be, is not even enough to sustain teachers. So you won't blame these people when they venture into human trafficking, because at the end of the day, if you look at the story, you're not being told how the child, if originally how the child was gotten, if the child was adopted and all of that. So we cannot really say, but looking at this now, 450,000, it's what they need at the moment, but in the long run it's not going to suffice for whatever challenges that they would have. So talking about the role of the government now, the government should provide social amenities now, which is provision of employment is very key in handling human trafficking. Now if you go out on the streets, you see a lot of unemployed graduates. And then even the parents, some of them are out of jobs. If you go to the market, sales is no longer moving because people don't even have the money to purchase these commodities. So once you go to the market, you see that most of them are just idle because
and so this gives people the reason to whatever it is, whatever the next thing that they see that could work, they just dive into it irrespective of the circumstances involved. Or
some of them, they just want to, they just want to do whatever it takes to make ends meet, right? So I'm not saying that is good. It's wrong. It's entirely wrong. So the government has a major role to play when it comes to ensuring that there's a reduction in human trafficking.
Okay, but are there some institutions put in place, or what do you think can be done to curtail this child trafficking? Probably on the side of the parents, what do they have to do? Because oftentimes I believe that if these children are to be in the custody of their parents and their parents are looking after them, a lot of them will not be found in such a situation. It's possible that the parent of that child may have left the child at home to go to work, or it's also possible that it was done. The story doesn't tell us where exactly or how exactly it happened. It's also possible that the child was kidnapped on the way from school or anything of that sort. But talking about parental care generally, what do you think parents can do better to safeguard the lives of their children?
Okay, so what parents can do better to safeguard the lives of their children? So I do not subscribe to parents who have help.
Okay.
Do you understand? So it has its advantages, and then it has its also disadvantages. But looking at it, the disadvantages are more, because when the parents go out, so if the parents are working class, for example, and then they go out, or they are entrepreneurs, or however the case may be, and then they go out and then they leave their kids with the help, right? So whatever they are paying the help might not be enough. Do you understand? Because as a lady, for example, as a help, which is a lady, right?
Yeah.
So the lady has to get deodorants, has to get a lot of things and all of that. So the 10,000 might not go a long way for this help. And then they now start thinking about, okay, how can I make extra funds and all of that? So they now want to, you know, think of a way of maybe giving that child out to someone, and then they now sell and then get money and all of that. So I feel that the parents should have time for their children, which is very important. No matter how busy their schedules are, they should look at how they can manage their schedules and then also manage parental care for their children.
You mentioned that you do not subscribe to having helps in the house. So in a situation where you're married, and then of course you have a job that you're doing, and then you go to the office, and then your wife also goes to the office, who's going to take care of a child? Or would you rather have your wife stay back at home and look after the kids? Are you the kind of man that will say, okay, no, I'll be giving my wife a monthly allowances or salary, I don't want her to work, just stay back and take care of the kids? Are you that kind of, or would you be that kind of a husband? Or would you yeah.
Okay, so just like the Bible said that the woman is
a helpmate.
A helpmate, right? So I do not like the idea of my wife, for example, being at home, right? So I believe that just like the Bible has said, she's a helpmate. So if I go out to cater for the family, she as well should also go out to cater for the family too. So in a situation where I'm working, my wife is working and all of that, so we have siblings. So I would recommend that either the husband or the wife, you know, your relative should come around and then nurture the children for a while until they get to a certain stage where they can be independent, right? So instead of bringing help, I would
totally it's strangers that you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Yes, and sometimes, like when I go home from work, most times I see on the streets, walls of the streets, help needed and all of that. So imagine somebody getting a random help you don't even know. You don't even know the background, you don't know
exactly
where they are from. So I rather prefer that relatives of the husband or the wife should come around and then help with the children.
But you know that there are also possibilities. We can't trust anyone for sure. I'm just saying from experiences, because there's also possible. We've had stories where even the relative of the husband or the wife happens to be the culprit, happens to be responsible for some of these crime or some of these activities. So I believe that we cannot say for sure who can or who cannot do these things. But just like you said, I think parents should pay more attention to their kids, and then if there's a need for you to get the help, it's better you get someone that you know or someone that is related to you, just like you mentioned. Okay, thank you very much for that, for your contribution on that story. So we'll move right on to the next story. Is it drunk driver? Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LATMA, has confirmed the grievous lone vehicular accident involving a Toyota Sienna KTU 666JP at Cornwall in Ward Secretariat along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. This occurrence, which transpired on Wednesday, resulted in the untimely demise of the driver, while 3 other occupants, 2 males and 1 female, suffered severe injuries. Preliminary injuries indicate that the deceased driver was under the influence of alcohol and lost control of the vehicle while traveling at an excessive speed. During rescue operations, LASMA officials, who swiftly responded as the first responder, recovered 48,200 naira, a phone, and 15 sachets of alcoholic gin inside the Sienna car. Additionally, Federal Road Safety Corps (FRSC) officers who were also present at the scene undertook the evacuation of the deceased remains to a morgue in Yaba, while LASMA operatives promptly towed the accident vehicle to the agency's yard to avert any traffic disruptions. Expressing regret over the tragic incident, LASMA General Manager, Olalekan Bakare Oki, extended condolences to the bereaved family and wished the injured victims a swift and full recovery. He warned motorists and urged them to eschew alcohol consumption while driving, emphasizing that reckless and impaired driving remains a perilous menace to lives and property. So on this story, Mr. Daniel, on this story, I want to believe that before people go to get cars, people go through driving schools and all of that. I mean, let's imagine this tragic incident. Could it be that this man in fact, for someone who has gone to a driving school, you should know that drinking and driving is highly prohibited. So,
yes.
so what can you say in the story of this man?
Well, first of all, the story is tragic, right?
Yeah.
Because, so to be honest with you, right, a lot of our drivers, they don't listen. Should be told, they don't listen. So I use the road every now and then. So and then I come across drivers in the morning who have sachets of alcohol.
The early hours of the morning.
Early as early as 7 when I leave the house most times. And then you see these drivers, they have a sachet on their left hand, and then the right hand on the wheels of steel, right? Yes. And then you could literally find some other sachets, right, in the cabinet of the car, which is not fair. You understand? Because we have buses, and then they are driving. It doesn't make sense. Do you understand? It doesn't make sense at all. I do not subscribe to that.
So, but we have security personnel. We have the police on the road. It's not supposed to be part of the job of the police to protect the lives of citizens, especially. I mean, when these vehicles go through different checkpoints, all they do most times is just collect money from these drivers and then let them pass. I want to believe that a policeman would be able to smell or perceive alcohol from a driver at such a close range, because of course the policeman stands very close to the driver when getting money and all of that from them. So would it be nice for if in a situation where the policeman perceives or smells this alcohol on these drivers, would it be nice for you to tell them to like park, or would it be nice for you to stop them? What do you think? Do you think it would be best for, like what I'm saying is, in a situation where a policeman gets to find out that a driver is drunk? Because oftentimes these drivers will man, and you've seen or you've observed or smelled alcohol on this driver. Would it be okay for you to ask them to stop, and then passengers come down and pick another vehicle? Or what do you think would be best to do? Or what role can the police play in curtailing these drivers?
So when you talk about the police officer, after interrogating the driver, and then you find out that the driver just had alcohol, you understand? So let's take, for example, the driver is in transit heading from Port Harcourt to Benin, for example. So, and then it's a registered transport company, you get. So at that point, the police officer cannot tell the driver to park, right? And then the passengers should come down and then get another vehicle, because at that point the passengers will be stranded. Do you understand? Because the driver is a registered staff of the transport company. So there's no way that the police officer should tell the driver to park and then the passengers should get a different vehicle. So what I think should be done, I think it's a duty of everybody, not just the police officers. So if I'm a passenger on board and then I notice that the driver has had a little bit of alcohol, so what I do is you engage the driver, right? So because what alcohol does, right, it makes them dizzy a bit. So in order to keep them in check, you engage the driver. That's why most times when in transit, it's always advisable that the person in front should be a lively person, so you can help engage the driver, so the driver doesn't get dizzy or sleeps on steering, and then it's a different story altogether. So I feel it's a duty of not just the police but everyone to ensure that the driver drives at a minimal speed level. You get, and then also try to engage the driver.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. The next story we have is police in Adamawa State have arrested a 20-year-old woman, Jamila Ishaku, for allegedly inducing labor by pouring boiling water on her pregnant sister-in-law during a heated argument. The incident, which occurred in Dubeli, Yola, not local government area, left the victim with severe burns, particularly on her back. She is currently receiving treatment at a hospital. Jamila, who admitted to the act, claimed she acted in blind anger and did not intend for the situation to escalate. I don't think it would go this far. I didn't think it would go this far. I was just angry, she said. Adamawa State Police spokesperson SP Suleiman Ngoroje confirmed the arrest and assured that the suspect would face legal consequences. Meanwhile, the victim's family has called for justice. Her sister Nefisat Dahiru urged the police refused to take decisive action while her husband, Gambo Dahiru, lamented his wife's suffering. My wife has been crying uncontrollably. I am seeking justice for her. The law should take its course, he said.
Well, indeed, the law should take its course.
It's very saddening because, you know, earlier we were talking about having your relative or your sister-in-law to stay with you and all of that. But look at the story of this woman who has someone she knows or someone close to her living with her in the house and having to deal with this. What level of anger would have made someone to carry out such an act? I mean, boiling hot water and then pour on the pregnant women. What's your take on this story, Sam?
First of all, it's a despicable act, right, which should not be condoned in our society. So, well, looking at this story, right, so we can see that what happened was clearly a case of anger. So as humans, we have different levels of anger. And then I think what is important, what should be enforced in our present day life and even in our educational system is anger management, right? Because anger management is very important. For me, everybody is prone to get angry at some certain point in time, right? But the ability to control your anger when you're upset, it's what is paramount, right? So, and then I feel like the internet, right, has given us certain ways on how we can control, best manage, you understand, best manage our anger issues. And I think this should be inculcated in our educational system, right from the primary level to the secondary level and then the higher institution, right? Because anger is a very serious issue. Because when somebody is angry, the person can do something that is unimaginable. You understand? So there was a day, I think sometime last year, so it was an issue between the bus driver and the conductor. And you know, normal, once they load a particular vehicle, it's expected that the driver should give the conductor a certain amount, and then the driver did not, because according to the driver it was just 2 persons that entered. I was not paying attention. So, and then one thing led to another, and then the whatever roadside, what do they call them?
All those, is it those referred to as Agberu boys? Or?
Exactly, the Agberus. So the next thing, he slapped the driver, and in my very before, the driver fell on the ground, and he was rushed to the hospital because the level of slap, you could hear it, you could hear the intensity, you could feel the intensity of it. So we should be careful when we deal with when we're upset, right? We should relax, take a deep breath, because when we are angry we make radical decisions that at the end of the day we end up regretting. So we should learn how to manage our anger. It will go a long way in helping our society.
Okay. On this topic, we discovered that the girl happens to be the sister-in-law to the woman who she poured, the victim or the person who she poured the hot water on. Does this not take us back to having the issue of having a good relationship with the relatives or the family of your spouse? Because in several occasions you hear that my brother wants to get married to somebody I don't like, my sister wants to get married to somebody I don't like, and this prompts these people to treat the other party, for example, if it's on the man's side, to treat the wife disrespectfully. So is it not, don't you think, or rather I should put it this way, in a situation where a lady discovers that her family or some of her family, her husband's family member rather, in a situation where the lady discovers that her husband's family members do not welcome her, let me use the word welcome her, or appreciate her, or want her to be the wife of the brother, is it okay for her to step out, or do you just go ahead because you're getting married to the man and not the family?
Well, both points are valid, right? So sometimes it depends on the level of hatred, right? So as an individual, before you get married to a person, to your spouse, right? So it is very important that you get to acclimatize with the family members. So in that period where you're trying to socialize or acclimatize with the family members, you should know, you should get the memo, right? The Gen Zs call it getting the memo. You should get the memo and then know, okay, the mom doesn't like me, the sister doesn't like me, or the brother doesn't like me, or these people like me, but sometimes we feel like it's love. And then at the end of the day, it is the husband, it is the man rather, that we're getting married to, and not the entire family. But we forget that the entire family will be in your face forever. Do you understand? Because so far both of you are together, the parents of your husband would certainly visit. Do you understand? Either for Christmas, for celebration in April and all of that, one of the events whatsoever, they must certainly come around. So in this case where she poured water on the sister-in-law, probably she must have done something that really got her upset. Or, you know, most times there's this thing that comes with pregnancy.
Yeah, it's true.
The woman becomes handicapped. When I mean handicapped, there are some certain things she cannot do, whereas there are some things she can do. You understand? So it could be that something easy was there for her to do, but she chose not to do it, and then she wanted
a partner's family to like you or welcome you. Is it possible?
It's not possible, truth be told. It's not possible.
And then talking about relatives, for someone who is married, must you have a relative of yours live with you or come visit you? You know, oftentimes they talk about this whole omugo thing where a man's mother comes. Is that a necessity? Because we've been used to this whole tradition and all of that in our space. We say it's a must, so it's a tradition. Once a woman gives birth, the mother of the will come and beat the child. Is it a must? Must that happen?
So, okay, this is Africa, right? And then this is Nigeria. So, one thing we believe so much is our culture and tradition. So, Omugo, like they call it, has been a tradition from the onset that our forefathers passed on to this generation, right? So, I feel Omugo is not a bad thing, really, because at the point where the woman gives birth, she needs all the support that she can get.
Yeah.
She needs all the support that she can get. And then the mother who has had a child before, obviously if it's the wife's mother that came around, so she has nurtured the child before, and then so over time she has learned easy ways on how to, you know, stop a baby that is crying and then bathe baby properly and all of that. So at that point the girl child may not have all the ideas, so the mom is there to put her through. You understand? Because over time she has the knowledge, and what they say knowledge is always passed on, right? So I feel Omugo is really necessary.
Okay, what time do you think is enough for them to be around? Because some of them will come and they'll stay for months, so they may not even want to go back.
But I think Omugo is 3 months or
3 months
or 6. Like traditionally, it's 3 months. It should be an agreement between the family members.
Okay, taking us back to the story of the sister-in-law who poured water on. I've had a situation where a couple got married rather, and then they were kind of deliberating on whose relative or whose sister or brother should come and stay. Now the man was thinking it's best for his brother or his sister to come and stay. And the woman is saying no, it has to be my, because there's always this thing about family. But who do you think, or do they have to like shuffle it? Who do you think when you eventually let me make it personal? When you eventually get married, who would you rather have live with you? Is it your wife's relative or your relative?
Well, I feel that should be an agreement between myself and my wife.
And I'm asking because I feel like if that lady would have been the direct sister of the woman, she probably may not have had the mind to do that to her. So would it be best, like I asked, would it be best to have your wife's sister or relative stay, or would it be best to have your own brother or sister stay?
Okay, so for peace to reign, let me use that word, for peace to reign,
yes,
so we can have long life. I think both family members should come, right? So if we cannot accommodate both of them at the same time, we'd structure it. It's okay. So for at interval, then my own family too can come around. Okay, so there will be peace. But if we can accommodate both of them at the same time, then
why not?
Why not?
Okay, thank you very much. So lastly, my last question, what level of punishment do you think should be given to this lady in question? the one who poured water on her sister-in-law, what level of punishment do you think? Because it's possible, I don't know, but it's possible she might just be taken to prison and then released and all of that. Do you think that would be enough to suffice, or that would suffice rather, for this act that she has carried out? What level of punishment do you think should be given to her?
Well, frankly speaking, I don't think there's a complete level of punishment rather for this, right? So no level of punishment would suffice for this act, right? So she can be sent to prison, and then at the end of the day she comes back, you understand? So it is not entirely a punishable offense that this person should be sent to life imprisonment, because the lady the story did not have it that she died, right? It's just that she had some scars on her back and all of that. So, well, justice should be served, but we should also temper justice with mercy, right? So, but the law should be allowed to follow its full course. Yes, you understand. So, I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution on that story. So, would I write into the next story that we have? Accidents in 6 months, repeated incidents involving Max Air have reignited discussions about aviation safety in Nigeria, highlighting growing concerns about airline accountability and regulatory oversight. In the past 6 months, the airline has recorded 3 aircraft accidents, raising alarm over potential systemic issues. The most recent occurred on Tuesday, when a Max Air flight crash landed at Malam Aminu International Airport in Kano after losing its landing gear tire. While no casualties were reported, the frequency of such incidents is unsettling, I beg your pardon. Notably, the same Boeing 737 aircraft that suffered an engine fire in Maiduguri last December was involved in Tuesday's crash landing. In another incident last July, 4 tires burst on a Max Air Boeing 737 during takeoff in Yola, forcing the plane to abort its journey. Despite the absence of fatalities, passengers remain shaken by these repeated close calls. Concerns have also been raised over whether the airline has compensated those affected. Aviation Minister Festus Keyamo previously acknowledged systemic issues in the industry, revealing that some airlines submit falsified audit and safety reports. These practices, if unchecked, could endanger passengers and further erode trust in Nigeria's aviation sector. As these incidents pile up, the pressing question remains: what measures are being taken to ensure passenger safety and restore confidence in air travel? I think that would be my question basically. What measures are being taken to ensure passenger safety and restore confidence in air travel?
Well, so when it comes to the aviation sector, so I feel like the government is not really doing much. Just like the reports, the story says that some of these airlines, they submit falsified reports. Do you understand? Because if these reports are being submitted in their real authenticity, I'm not sure some of these airlines would have 2 flights.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Nationwide. You understand? So the reason why they do this is because the government is not really checkmating these reports. Yeah. So we have a lot of airlines in Nigeria that fly every single day, and then some of these airlines they have technical issues that needs to be resolved. But this is Nigeria. They must make money, and then endangering the lives of people. Because once the plane takes off and then they are far above in the sky, it's between you and your God to ensure that you land
safely.
So I feel like the FAAN, which is in charge of all of that, should ensure that aside these reports being submitted, they should also confirm the authenticity of these reports. They should also periodically go around these airlines and then take a careful study on the condition of these aircraft. Do you understand? So the governments can afford it. Get technicians, get
people who are experts in all of this to checkmate these flights, these aircraft, and then so that we will not be having stories of aircraft crash landing and all of that. So it's really the duty of the government. Like, the government has a major role to play when it comes to ensuring safety of lives and properties.
Okay, but how often do you think these aircraft should be checked? Because I believe that oftentimes this flight takes off almost every day. People travel on daily basis. How often do you think these flights should be checked? And then is it also possible? I mean, this is not. I know that in vehicles, like in cars, you can have some equipment in the boots that, if in cause of for you to check anything, you could just come down and check. Is that also possible with aircrafts?
No, it's not. So before, so I've had the opportunity to actually board a flight when I was way younger, right? So and while I was there, right, so I could literally I saw that they had technicians who were there, to check the aircraft before it takes off, right? So so they check, and then if there's a need for to refuel the aircraft, they do all of that, and then check for little technical issues, and then get it resolved before the plane takes off, right? So when it comes to how often should this be done, I feel this should be done monthly, right? I feel it should be done monthly because considering the cost that would come with checking and all of that, so it should be done monthly. So if this is done monthly, so we have these airlines standing up to their feet and then doing their best. Do you understand? So I think with that, to a certain level, lives will be secured.
But the story has it that the government has intentions of compensating the families of the deceased. I mean, would that suffice for the loss of lives? I mean, how much would you give to these people to make them forget or be okay with the loss of a loved one?
Truly, no amount is enough. So even if you give them a blank check and then you tell them, okay, 1 billion, and then if you even have the 1 billion to give out, right? So let's just say you give them a blank check. No amount is enough to replace a life. Talk more of lives, right? So no amount is entirely enough. But one of like money, for example, is it means that has been accepted for exchange, right? So one of the things that could help reduce the family members not taking this matter forward is when they actually get compensations. So when there's a compensation, it helps to take care of the family while they are grieving and all of that.
Especially if that person probably was the breadwinner of one of the persons involved was the breadwinner of the family.
So the money goes a long way, rather, but it does not quantify the life that was lost.
All right, thank you very much, sir. This is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch.